So there, ladies and gentlemen. Jake here has encouraged me to watch the Mandalorian trailer, which I have not yet seen. So here goes.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
Was it as exciting as you thought it would be?
So exciting.
So that's where Star Wars is at.
Yeah.
Surprised how soon it's coming out, honestly.
Yeah. Well, Jake, you've already seen it, but I just watched the Mandalorian trailer.
Mm-hmm. But first, what do we have to drink today?
Oh, yeah, if we're gonna talk about Star Wars, we definitely need a little something to drink. So we got a little hooey from our friends over at Lupul and Brewing Company, and I definitely think that it's necessary to get this going. Oh, I feel better already. The Mandalorian.
So, first reactions. What did you think?
Oh, jeez. What do I think? I feel nothing.
That's what I felt
I feel
too.
nothing about a Star Wars movie. Now, you may not know this, but back in the day, I was actually quite the Star Wars fan. Probably not quite as much as you.
Probably not. I mean, so I was the right age where toys were, action figures and whatnot. Those were still very, very important to me. So I have a massive collection of Star Wars toys.
It's true.
I was a avid fan of the franchise for a very long time. I was still young enough when the prequels were coming out that I enjoyed them immensely, despite their shortcomings that I slowly realized as I got older. But yeah, the idea of anything Star Wars related coming out and me not being head over heels for it would have seemed ludicrous to me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at. I just don't care.
I just don't care.
Disney has made me not care about Star Wars.
I think, and that is an accomplishment in and of itself. That's maybe the biggest part of this story right now, is that we just don't care anymore. The Last Jedi really is what did it for me, although admittedly I didn't go... Was the Solo movie before or after The Last Jedi?
After.
Okay, well, then The Last Jedi really is the one that killed it for me.
It's funny to me that I'm sitting here saying I don't care, and yet we're like having this video conversation.
Well, we
about it.
clearly care about
So
the
caring,
legacy.
saying we don't care is probably disingenuous. We obviously care. It's just that we recognize that the new media is not going to be what we want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the sense that I mean we don't care about the new stuff coming out.
So, with regard to the trailer for The Mandalorian, I have questions. Is it supposed to be a gritty, serious, like hardcore movie? Or is it going to be what we would think of in a Star Wars movie, an action and adventure movie? Because from the trailer, it looks like it should be rated R.
Potentially.
Which I think would probably make a better movie in the first place. But
Probably. I don't know if it's going to be a movie. I think it's going to be like a mini-series.
oh no!
I'm pretty sure
Oh no!
because I mean it's definitely not coming out in theaters, so they're not going to release a movie.
No, no.
So I'm quite certain it's a mini-series, even though I haven't looked into it at all.
That makes me care even less. Oh, jeez.
So I mean, the problem is that visually it still looks great. I mean, all of the Star Wars stuff coming out, well,
it looks too good visually. It looks too fluid. The robot looked too good. The special effects looked a little. Well, it started to remind me a little bit about the how things looked a little too polished in the prequels.
Yeah.
You know, everything's a little too perfect.
Yeah, I thought the CG in like The Force Awakens was a little weak, like actually quite weak in places. I didn't ever feel that way in The Last Jedi, but I thought The Last Jedi was a much worse movie. So there's that.
I beg to differ because I was there for the stampede scene.
Oh, that's right. See, I always forget about that whole part of the movie that was completely irrelevant.
Oh, we all try to block it out,
But you're right. That scene in particular, the CG was terrible.
So bad.
Like, upsettingly bad.
Oh.
But the rest of the movie, if you take out Canto Bite, I don't think I had any problem with the CG in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, man, that's good, I guess. Yeah, but, you know, it all took place in space, which, right, it is called Star Wars, so it would stand to reason.
Yeah.
So there's a lot less to worry about in space.
So no, on a visceral level, this trailer makes it look enticing.
Yeah.
So
they
great.
apparently stormtrooper heads on spikes is a
Yeah.
thing.
Maybe on Mandalore.
That's weird. Seems weird. Seems like a weird thing.
But yeah, I mean, based off this trailer, we have like zero information about what the show is going to be like or about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what time it's supposed to be set in the universe.
Sometime before the original series and sometime after the prequels.
Okay. Based off of just the fact that there are stormtroopers,
that
but
look
there are
like
stormtroopers now. Do they look different in the new show, in the new movie?
They've got like more extreme lines on them. Like
I guess I haven't even noticed that they look different from the original because it matters so very, very little.
It matters so little. So little.
The point is, stormtroopers, I recognize those.
I just don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. How is that possible? How is that possible?
Well, I don't care because I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything good since they took over the reins. They, as in Disney, that is.
Yeah. Which is astounding to me because they did so much so right with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is on track to take a big dump.
Set to take a right turn.
A left turn.
A wrong turn.
A south turn, a wrong turn. Or maybe just a big turd. Set to take a big turd. Yeah, that sounds right.
Seems that way.
Yeah, And I didn't go see Captain Marvel because I didn't care. That movie did nothing for me. We've talked about that before. Like I didn't see the Ant-Man movie Because I just don't know anything about Ant-Man. It didn't do anything for me. It seemed like, from what I could gather in Endgame, that he's a perfectly fine, acceptable, fun character. Made me kind of want to go back and watch the movies.
Yeah, I like the Ant-Man character. It's funny because Ant-Man versus Captain Marvel, they have the opposite problem where...
one of them's likable and one of them's shit.
Exactly. Ant-Man was a fun character in a movie that I didn't really care about. Captain Marvel, the movie was fine. She's just horribly unlikable.
Yeah. I think miscast is the term that I've heard the most.
Yeah.
Is that she's just not a likable person generally.
She
the Brie Larson,
definitely
the
comes
actress.
off extremely unlikable in every piece of media I've seen of her.
Yeah.
But that might not be all her fault at the same time.
I don't know.
It could be the direction.
It could be, but
who knows? We don't know.
It's not just her behavior, though. It's like when she's sitting next to one of the other actors, and the body language of the other actors is always like, oh, she's talking again. Why is she talking again? She's so awful.
Yeah. No, I guess all I'm getting at is she seems horribly unlikable. She seems like everyone around her doesn't like her. But that doesn't necessarily make her a bad actress.
That's true.
It's unless
the fact that
director
she has no range that makes her a bad actress.
Unless the director came out and said, "Okay, Brie, we just want you to be you as this character." That's the only situation where you can really blame her specifically for it being a problem.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is
fair.
just that she doesn't have range and she only knows how to be herself. I guess that could be another explanation. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we don't know if it's exactly her fault, but she does seem like a horribly unlikable person.
You know what's interesting is that we started talking about Star Wars and we almost immediately diverged into Marvel. I think the reason for that is because it feels like Marvel is salvageable, whereas now we've had two abominations of movies.
See, I still care about Marvel as being a franchise that I can enjoy.
Except Endgame basically is done.
wrapped
It's the
it up.
end. I don't need any more. I'm done. I hit my quota. The fuel tank is full. I'm good.
I
don't need
say
it.
it. Marvel is in a bad spot because then they came out. The next movie they came out with was Spider-Man, which did very well.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I don't care.
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of care.
I wouldn't have minded seeing it.
Yeah.
It's not like I went out of my way not to see it. I just didn't have the chance to
that's
see
right.
it. But I don't know if you've heard this, but Sony and Marvel couldn't come to an agreement.
Although I think I've heard now that maybe they will be making an agreement. So who knows?
They definitely should, because he's like the only beacon they have left, if you ask me. And Guardians of the Galaxy with Thor thrown in there.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. I like what I hear about what they're planning to do with Doctor Strange, but I guess we'll see. But everything else is in the crapshoot as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. And Star Wars is in a worse predicament, as it were. So,
Star Wars as far as the continuing saga.
The continuing saga. That's right. That's the problem, and that is the problem.
The Last Jedi utterly destroyed where the universe was at.
Yep.
At that time.
Not only that, I think the thing for all of us is Carrie Fisher's dead now.
Yeah, why did she survive the movie again?
Why? There was no point. They could and should have killed her off in that movie.
They had the footage.
Opportunity. They did.
They had exactly what they needed.
And she did nothing the rest of the movie. She did nothing the rest of the movie. Nothing. She gave a few hugs. I guess
she got to have her send off with Luke. That's the only reason I can think of for them having her survive.
So let's kill off Han Solo. Let's kill off Luke Skywalker, and then Carrie Fisher dies. So pretty tough to do anything with her now.
Yep, but she's the one who's still alive.
She's in the movie, and she's alive in the movie.
If they have her like fully CG in the next movie, I mean, my God, how disrespectful could you possibly
They've
be?
already done that once.
They did.
They've
but
all
she
got
was
they've
at
got
least
the
still
assets
alive
for her
then.
already. They've already got it.
I don't know what they could possibly do to make it not horribly awkward. Because not having her at all will not make sense and be awkward.
No, they'll kill her off in the crawl.
Yeah, that's all I can think of, but that's horrible. That's the worst thing. Having her survive the last movie was just an insane misstep to me.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the only misstep in that movie.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's just icing on the cake.
Oh, that was, and it's funny, and it's everybody loves to hate on The Force Awakens now, because now that The Last Jedi's out, everybody loves to hate on The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I walked out of that movie really on the fence. Like, I didn't really care for it. I felt like all of the big moments were super cliche and 100% predictable. I had very lukewarm feelings on the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them. I think the only one that is even remotely interesting out of The Force Awakens was Poe Dameron. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do anything with him in The Last Jedi that was interesting at all.
Yeah.
They kind of tried to. He was the most likable character.
He was the most likable character. I thought Finn was a more interesting character.
Well, he certainly was.
He would have had the most opportunity for interesting
yeah.
things since he had been part of the First Order. But coming out of that, he was just so poorly handled in The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was raised this way, and now he recognizes how horrible that was.
Yeah.
And yet he has no problem just straight up murdering all the other people who were raised just like him.
Yeah, that's right. Are you familiar with the Stormtrooper paradox?
Mm-mm.
That's so what you just described is that here we've got Finn, who was a Stormtrooper, and now immediately we're supposed to feel for this former Stormtrooper who is now like rampaging against other Stormtroopers, who presumably he knew other Stormtroopers, and he would have had lunch with them, had other friends who were Stormtroopers.
You would assume.
Forth. And now immediately you flip that on his head, and he's indiscriminately killing Stormtroopers.
He
it's
knows that he was indoctrinated, just like all of them, just because he managed to resist it, I guess.
Well, and that's the paradox.
That's supposed to make it okay for him to want to murder all the other ones who couldn't resist it.
So all of a sudden you've got, is it now knowing that you can have someone like Finn emerge from as a reformed Stormtrooper, a former Stormtrooper, whatever, knowing that you've got this person who is now reformed, and every single Stormtrooper still out there is a potentially reformed Stormtrooper, all of a sudden, they're not just drones, they're not just clones, they're not just nothing, no face, no nothing, no humanity there. You now know that there is humanity there. So what makes it okay just to kill indiscriminately?
I can already hear the argument against this because I've thought of it, which is it was his first mission. He refused to kill anyone. All of his comrades just shot the civilians and whatnot indiscriminately and didn't care. So his hands were clean technically.
Was that his first mission?
Yep.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So before that, he was just a janitor, apparently.
Okay.
That's all we know.
Yeah. Well, he knew how to use the trash compactor, apparently.
Yeah. No, he said he was in maintenance.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He made it very clear, but
yeah,
that would be the obvious argument against that is he never dirtied his hands after his indoctrination as a Stormtrooper.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that would be the obvious argument. I disagree with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly enough to justify him wanting to murder everyone else who did go over the edge and just did what they were told.
I was just following orders.
Yeah, it's a real thing. That's a real thing.
That is a real thing. Yeah.
It's fucked up and horrible.
It is.
But it's still a real
genuinely
thing.
Terrible. Yeah, it's so that's the Stormtrooper paradox, and it's very interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably giving way more credit where credit is not due.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He could have been such an interesting character.
And and instead he was
Squandered.
basically comic relief.
Yeah, basically comic relief.
He was no longer a main character. He was a main character. Why was he all of a sudden no longer a main character in the in the Last Jedi?
No idea.
Or was he still considered a main character?
And also he was forced to go through the same arc in the second movie as he was in the first movie.
I'm going to run away. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to come back
Wait,
and help
no,
my
I'm going to help
friends.
the Resistance. Good job, Finn. I guess when that coma really set you back a little ways.
That's right. Yeah, that's good.
It's just a damned shame.
Yeah, but at least he set those animals free.
Yeah, that's the real victory. That's the real victory, people.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's what really matters. Now it really matters. That's right. So I was really lukewarm on the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I genuinely disliked it for the most part, and I was only lukewarm on it to the extent that I'm like, okay, I'm willing to see where this leads us.
I came out of it like that was it looked pretty good. It had some fun moments. Not sold on the characters. But it was an introduction. It was the first in what was going to be a trilogy. It introduced us to the characters, got us to care about them somewhat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was open-minded after that one.
So we had a couple of character deaths we had a big major character death in The Force Awakens with Han Solo. Spoiler alert.
Hey now.
And I just want to spend a couple minutes here talking about the way Hollywood has decided to deal with big character deaths. Was there any question what was going to happen on that bridge with the two of them in your mind when you saw that scene? Was there any doubt?
I mean, no, he was going out there to die.
Yeah. Okay.
So
did he know that? Or did he think that he was genuinely going to convince his son?
who knows? I don't know.
And then, here, hold my lightsaber. Bzzz. Really? Just the way
scene
it
was almost comical.
It was comical!
I didn't
Good
think
grief, it was terrible!
it looked really bad.
It looked terrible!
There was like a close-up of his face when it happens. It was just shot very bizarrely. It was really bad.
It was so bad. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because that's not the first nor the last time that Hollywood has botched moments that should have been genuinely shocking. Like they somehow, through the cinematography, the choreography, or the blocking of the scene, however you want to approach it, somehow they took all of the tension out of it, all of the shock. They managed to remove all of it. And just basically boil it down to is he gonna, is he not gonna, is he gonna, is he not gonna? And if anyone ever thought that Han Solo was gonna survive that movie, they were an idiot in the first place. Harrison Ford didn't want to survive the Return of the Jedi movie.
It's
He thought he
true.
should have died then. He
Yep.
made it abundantly clear, and has made it abundantly clear for the past, 30, 40 years, that he thought that his character should have died. Was there any question they were going to kill him off? He wanted to be done with Star Wars. He wanted to be out, done. Well, now he's out and done.
Yeah. Good job.
Good job.
You know what would have made that scene all right?
Decapitation.
Decapitation, or just, extending the lightsaber and just taking a big old swing right through him.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been
Make it
that would have been good.
not like this just little stab right through him.
Stab.
No.
And
like,
then his shock. It was the worst thing.
like, demolish him. Show the rage and the anger. You know, have it come across in the way that you cut him to friggin' ribbons.
Yeah.
That would have worked.
Show him embracing the dark side, and
That was
doing
the whole
it-
point of the
doing
scene!
it in a rage. That's what you're supposed to do.
And he did it earlier with a computer.
Yeah.
Was that
Take
that was
that,
Force Awakens, right?
Computer.
Yeah, that's right. I'm
It was.
angry, so I'm gonna get rid of this computer because I'm angry. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
So, I mean, that would have basically fixed that scene.
It could have. That would have, because that would have been genuinely shocking.
It would have fixed, that scene. I mean, it wouldn't fix the movie.
There's nothing that could have fixed that movie.
I mean, The Force Awakens could have been
That's
fixed.
true. The Force Awakens and
The Last Jedi, on the other hand.
we have talked about this. Now, Jake and I have shot a couple of pilot episodes for this that have not been posted. One of them was a big, long Star Wars episode, and we talked about the Last Jedi a lot, a lot. And maybe someday we'll post that. Maybe. Haven't decided. Maybe we'll see. But now you and I have discussed this before, that The Last Jedi could have been saved and could have, in fact, been also simultaneously 40 minutes shorter.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, let's see. The first time they could have ended the show. Let's see. Well, the very first time, was it in the throne room with Snoke?
In the
after they
throne
kill him?
room. Join me. He holds out his hand.
Yeah, hold out his hand. And then you can just hear, you can almost hear it. You can see it. You can feel it. You can hear it. In the back, the music starts to swell, and the lightsaber in his hand, and it's a close-up on his hand, like right there, right in front of him, and he's got the lightsaber in there. Join me, and together we will rule the dark side. Or not even the dark side. It was his pitch was, there is no dark side. There is no light side. It is all just, it's just us. It's just
Let the
Force.
past die, kill it.
And then you
whatever
can
he
hear it. You can
says.
hear the music swell, and then bum ba dum ba dum ba da 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 da.
Yep.
Roll credits now, and we're done.
Yep.
And that would have been enough with all of the horrible stuff with Luke Skywalker, with all of the horrible stuff with the so-called training that they went through, which was nothing. There was
All
no
of the horrible
the
stuff.
horrible. Oh my gosh! And when she's like sitting there with the rock, swinging the lightsaber around, like, I'm training, yay! I'm getting so good.
Yeah.
What? That's not how you get good at anything. You're just
No.
swinging something around.
Nope, that's not how you train in the Force, and that's not how you get good at fighting people with a lightsaber. It doesn't help with either of those
Doesn't
things.
do anything. What is he?
Did
what are you
when
doing?
Luke was training, did he ever use his lightsaber ever? Other than when he went into the cave and Yoda wasn't even there, so it wasn't really part of his training?
No, in fact, that was deliberately not part of the training. Yoda didn't want him to do that. He's like, no,
Yeah.
you failed. Sorry.
That's not how you learn to be good with the Force.
That's right.
And you don't learn to be good at lightsaber dueling by fighting a rock. So she was accomplishing nothing.
Yeah, and am I the only person who thought that was the most horribly awkward, weirdly choreographed thing? There
was
was
the strangest
nothing
thing.
good about that scene. You're like, there's like this weird, like you're looking straight up at her, and she's swinging, and it's just very strange.
And then
I
you have the,
felt
like,
awkward.
They pan out, and for some reason Luke is standing on the stairs, like, watching her.
And how on earth, and how did they make lightsabers look worse in these new movies than they did in the prequels? Like, now they're like all these like plasma-y kind of like zoom, wow, 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 like looking things. It's like, why isn't it just a lightsaber and a clean, elegant blade? Now they're
I
like
don't
these
know.
messy plasma
so
things.
Kylo Ren's is like that. I don't remember if the other one looks that way too.
I guess I don't either, because I just haven't watched
Yeah, I haven't
the movie
rewatched
that many
it.
times.
I know Kylo's is all messed up looking, which whatever. He didn't know what he was doing when he made it. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
they
Whatever
should have called
excuse you
that
want
out.
to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have been something that Snoke said to him, is like, don't even know how to make your lightsaber right or whatever, when he's mocking him for his helmet and everything else.
Yeah, which was well deserved. That was some of the good stuff in there. Like, what are you doing, you dummy, you stupid piece of crap? What are you thinking?
Like, learn to be intimidating without having to resort to props.
Props. Yes, I need a costume. You're not Batman. You don't need a costume. Come on now. Anyway, so that was the first. That was the first opportunity they had
Yep.
to end the movie. And what would have happened? Luke Skywalker would still have been alive.
Still be alive.
And everybody in their seats would have been like,
There'd
what?
be a big
oh my
question.
Gosh, what's going on?
Because
What's gonna
really,
happen?
at that point, Kylo Ren was still... He
You're not
was
sure.
making sense.
He was.
You know, there's a lot of pros to what he was offering in that moment.
Despite the fact that he viciously murdered his own father in the previous movie,
Yeah,
which
but-
was like a couple of days before that, apparently.
But he was giving a lot of hints that he was willing to maybe embrace another way of life. He just killed his own master,
Yeah,
who kind of pushed him to do
That's
that
true.
terrible
That's
thing.
it's a good point. He could have made the argument.
And he was
Could've made
saying,
the
we got to
argument.
leave the past behind. We're going to start something new,
Yeah.
something better.
No more of this
He didn't-
manipulation. Done.
He didn't really elaborate on that, but, there could have been, he might have had some really positive ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? We don't know.
Yeah. But the movie didn't end there. It went on and on and on and on and on and on and on until they were locked in a base that hadn't been used for forever, and they're in this bunker, and there are these giant doors, and there's all these AT-ATs out front, and they've got their guns trained on them, and this big, giant laser cannon thing, whatever, trained on them, and then all of a sudden, boom, the door comes down. Let's not talk about the Finn kind of what's her face, Rose comes across
Yeah.
and wrecks any
That whole
possible
terrible
redemption story that he had to make his life meaningful. Anyway, we can't have a male character have a meaningful end. That wouldn't be right in this day and age. We can't possibly give his life any meaning. So the door gets blasted, and Luke Skywalker emerges.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, I don't even remember at this point what exactly happened. He walks out. He's standing there. There's the AT-ATs there. And does he do a thing where he actually stops the laser blast?
No, he doesn't.
No,
do
he
anything.
just lets him.
He just
come.
stands there and lets the blast come, and it's just a big smoke cloud, and then he's
Anyway.
standing there.
But-
Before that even happened, though, literally the shot of him walking through the breach out to face
Yes.
all the AT-ATs or whatever.
And you've
they're
got like
called
this
now.
this skinny, narrow strip of light on the
Yep.
screen. You see the Jedi silhouette right there. Maybe he's got his lightsaber out. Maybe he doesn't. But then you see kind of
don't
through the peripheral that you've got the AT-ATs. You can just about imagine. And he's standing there, and there's this showdown. It's like, okay, what is
going
going to happen?
face
You can
down the First
hear
Order
the
by
music
himself.
start to swell. You can maybe see an expression on somebody's face, and all of a sudden, bum ba dum ba dum ba da 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 da.
Yeah,
da.
perfect.
The end. Luke Skywalker still lives.
Yep. Now you are invested in the next fucking movie.
But we can't
But the
have
movie
that.
doesn't end there.
It doesn't end there. It doesn't ever end. It goes on and on and on. Why?
Yeah. I just...
Why?
It boggles the fucking mind why they ended the movie where they did. Because they ended it in the perfect place to make me not give a shit
Exactly.
what happens next.
Yeah.
The only thing we're left with is, Rey, the person who has never
The
lost a fight in her
least
life,
interesting character they
has
could
to beat up
possibly-
Kylo Ren. That's the only thing left. That's it. That's all we have left.
That's all we have left. That's true. There's nothing left. What else is there?
I mean, obviously they're going to introduce other stuff in the next movie, but because it isn't already introduced, I don't care. Because I don't like Rey. All the characters I cared about are dead.
Yeah.
They completely mishandled Poe. They completely mishandled Finn.
Yep.
Rey was boring from the beginning.
Rose is still a non-character.
Yeah, Rose is... I mean, she's in a coma now. Last movie it was Finn, now it's Rose. I mean, that's a fun trend, I guess.
That's a good point. That is a fun trend.
So, I don't care about any of these characters, and you left the universe in a state where the only thing that has to happen is Rey has to go beat up.
Well, the entire
Kylo.
Resistance apparently can fit on the Millennium Falcon, which is not exactly a big ship.
No.
So that's a problem. So they've got very few people left. Very few.
Yeah.
It's just not interesting. And Rey has still yet to lose anything. She's apparently a master at everything.
No, I mean she didn't have anything to begin with, so
She didn't have anything to
she
be.
doesn't really have anything to lose. But
She didn't have. She hasn't had. She's not a character. She's
not a
just,
character.
She's just a placeholder for something, some sort of ideal, I guess, that Disney's pushing. Like, it seems like it has to be.
something. The ideal is perfect woman.
I guess, but she's not. Well, or I don't know. I don't understand. She does everything that she's told not to, and then she apparently gets more and more powerful as a result.
Yeah, she has no shortcomings of any kind. She's perfectly well adjusted despite growing up and having to take care of herself and not really having anyone. And yet she's a perfectly well adjusted human being.
Yeah.
Somehow. She knows how to be social and all these things. She's not awkward. It doesn't make sense.
She's awkward. I mean, I think she's awkward.
She's awkward because she doesn't know how to close her mouth.
That's right. She looks just about. I mean, that's like what I'd look like in public. I mean, hasn't anybody just said just close her lips a little bit, just.
Yeah. So I mean,
So let's. Presumably, you have seen the final. Hopefully, the final movie with Rey in it. We can only hope. The trailer for it. The Rise of the Skywalker. Is that what they're calling it?
I think so.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So I saw the trailer for that a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely hated it. I don't remember if I mentioned this in a previous episode, but when I didn't go to Avengers Endgame with you, I went with our cousin Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Anyway, so I went, and of course it was Endgame, so they had a Rise of Skywalker trailer, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the stupid thing, and it just goes on and on. I'm just tired. I'm tired of Star Wars. I just don't care. And there's like this moment, and we went to a pretty late show. It was like 10 o'clock at night, which was a bad idea because Endgame is super long. So,
Oh man.
anyway.
You didn't get out of there till like
Oh, it was
1:30.
terrible. Anyway, so there wasn't that many people in the theater, but there, it's like the black screen with Star Wars, the Rise of the Skywalker on there. It's the music all cuts out, and it's just like that slow pan away or whatever it is. And I just cannot help myself. I cannot help myself. My hands come up to my mouth. Boo! Laughter. Laughter. Laughter in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is the butt of jokes now.
Yeah.
Nobody takes it
It's a joke.
seriously. It's that bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly acceptable to everyone else in that theater that got a boo.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry. Anyway, I just had to share that story.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Paul said afterward that was his favorite part of the movie that night.
Yeah.
That's not being fair to Endgame, because Endgame
It's
was a
not.
pretty competent movie.
It was a perfectly competent movie.
It was fine. It
With
was nothing
problems.
great. It had problems. That's right.
It had enough payoffs that it made up for the problems.
There were some genuinely great moments in it, and then there were some genuinely shitty moments in it.
Yeah.
And there were some really weird. We talked about this before.
Yeah, we have another.
Yeah,
video on this
we
whole
could
thing.
talk about all of that. There were some weird decisions made. Some things that were fun jokes initially, but really got weird and old really fast. The Thor thing, the Hulk thing. It just, I don't know. It's just strange. I liked Hulk Smash. I miss that. I wish that you were just a badass
Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
I like Thor Ragnarok Hulk.
Mhm.
That's the Hulk that I like. I don't like brainy Hulk. That's boring.
It is. It's boring. It's bad.
Hulk smash. He needs to smash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's his thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so So those were two perfectly fine opportunities to end The Last Jedi, which
Yep.
they did not take.
Nope.
Instead, it just kept going and going and going and going. And it kept going to the point where I don't even remember what happened at the end. Apparently, Rey comes in, and I remember there were rocks flying all over the place because apparently she can lift up 1,000 different rocks and throw them in a different direction all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then the last 6 people get on the Millennium Falcon and they drive away.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of the movie.
Yep.
And
Luke dies.
And Luke
Don't
dies
forget
for no
that
reason.
Luke dies, even though he wasn't even there, which you would presume the point of that is so that he wouldn't have to die.
But
But
it
no.
took so much effort. I'm going to become one with the Force.
Yeah, you'd presume the reason not to be there in person would be so you don't die. But no, he found a way to die anyway. Good job, Luke. Proud of you.
He found a way. Yeah, that's
And
right.
Kylo just went full evil, even though he seemed ready to embrace a new...
And make no mistake, here's my prediction for the next movie. Kylo Ren's not going to be evil again.
Yeah, I mean, that seems obvious. He's not going to be evil, but the Emperor's going to be tempting him, and it's going to be Kylo and Rey versus the Emperor, and Kylo's going to die.
So I just have to talk about the nostalgia and the dirty, dirty, dirty way they are trying to bring me back into the theater for that last movie. I'm not going to see The Rise of Skywalker in the theater. I'm not going to. Period. There's nothing you can do. You fucked up too much. Too much. Even though that trailer almost made me want to.
No, what's funny about all of this is that at the end of the day, episodes 1 through 9 are not going to be the Skywalker saga. They're going to be the Palpatine saga.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's true because he was in there from the beginning to the end.
the
Woo!
beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're clipping like crazy. I'm just
Yeah,
excited.
that's a
I'm
lot.
just excited. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been like the first trilogy should have been the Obi-Wan saga. The second trilogy should have been the Skywalker saga. Now the third trilogy should have been something completely different, but we
Completely
didn't have
new.
anything different.
Nope. Instead, it's Palpatine. He's been there from the beginning. He'll be there at the end.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. That's exciting. So now we get to see. So they have the images of they're going to some place where the one of the Death Stars is apparently sitting in the ocean or something.
Yep.
Who cares? Except I kind of care because it's nostalgia and I just can't help myself. So that's dirty. So that's dirty. Like I genuinely like the old stuff, but then they intersperse it with more stuff with Rey in it. Like the beginning of that trailer. So
Most of the trailer, you mean?
most of the trailer. Yeah, there you go. So so you're on a desert planet, Tatooine-ish, desert-ish planet, whatever. And you've got Rey, and she's standing there, and she's horrible, and she looks terrible.
Why is she out there alone?
I don't know. I don't care.
Where's her ship? How did she get there? Did she
Who
walk
ca-
there?
Who cares? Why is
walked
she there? Doesn't
18
matter.
miles from her
She
ship?
beamed down from the Enterprise.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how she got there. Anyway, so she's there, she's standing there, and she's standing there, she's breathing heavy for who knows why she's breathing heavy. And then
In
she turns around, oh, and she's got this look on her face, and then she starts running in like the most mechanical, weird, and she's got the lightsaber and it looks silly, and she's just like chaka 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 chaka. Oh, look at me, I'm like the Terminator. And like the TIE fighter comes up behind her, apparently, and, oh, look at me, I can jump and flip in the air. And it's like, who cares? This doesn't mean anything to anyone. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a really dumb scene.
It's a terrible scene. And make no mistake, that's not going to be in the movie. That's just
You don't
part
think
of the
so?
trailer. That's just
I
part
could
of the
see
teaser.
that. I could see that. That
That
could be
was a
completely
teaser.
accurate. Because how do you fit that into a movie?
It doesn't.
You can't.
You can't.
It's so dumb. Oh, my God.
That's just part of the teaser.
It's like, why are you flying a TIE fighter right at a person.
Or
I
it'll
mean,
end up being like
you're
a
not-
vision or a dream. Or
So
something
he's
like
not
that.
low enough to the ground to actually hit her.
No, apparently not.
He's not firing his laser
No,
cannons
no,
at
heaven forbid,
her.
no. Because she'd have a lightsaber. She can deflect them. Ding, 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 ding,
I
ding, ding.
guess. I would assume that
Even
laser
though-
cannons from a ship are you got a bigger laser
Yeah.
to deal with.
And wasn't
to
that the whole
deflect.
thing with like Boba Fett that he had a blaster?
Oh yeah,
the thing
it shot
for-
too fast
There you
for
go.
a Jedi to be able to deflect all of the bolts.
Yes, yes, that's right. They could deflect them, but they couldn't deflect them back at
Yeah,
him.
that was like a whole thing.
That was a thing.
That was in the lore.
That was in the lore. See,
I mean, obviously it wasn't referenced in the movie itself, but see,
No.
I read the novels because I'm a fucking Star Wars nerd. But now I hate the new movies. Thanks,
Yep.
Disney.
Yep. And so Carrie Fisher's dead, and now Peter Mayhew is dead. So Chewbacca, God rest your soul, you're done. Luke Skywalker is dead. Han Solo is dead. So
I mean, they never decided to give Chewbacca a character anyway.
that's
even though
true.
they
He
had
was
a
just
perfect
always
opportunity to.
there in the background, just to be in himself.
He's an accessory. He was Han Solo's accessory. Now he's Rey's accessory.
Yeah. So now he's just there, or now it'll be played by whoever. It
See,
doesn't matter.
that's a funny one because they actually kind of gave him a character in the Solo movie.
Did they really?
Yeah,
I
they-
haven't seen the Solo
They
movie.
almost made their relationship a real thing that I could appreciate in
Yeah.
that movie, but that movie had a crazy amount of problems of its own. So
Yeah, and I haven't seen it because I just don't care. However, I did see Rogue One,
oh yeah,
and I had some serious problems with Rogue One.
serious problem.
Now, there's a lot of people out there who thinks that Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie that has ever been made.
So there were a lot of good things in Rogue One. I'll give it that.
Okay,
Characters aren't
start
one of them.
naming them. We'll see if we get to 5.
So there's Darth Vader.
Okay,
He was great.
That's I'll pass on. I'll give you a pass on that one, barely.
Look and feel of the movie, I would say.
Okay, sort of. There were some. I would say there's questionable things there too, but okay, continue. We've gotten to 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, there were 2. There were only 2 things. Those were big things in the movie.
Yeah, that's about where my praise of the movie would stop as well. I like Donnie Yen. He's great.
Oh yeah, Donnie Yen can
The
do
Force
no
is
wrong.
with me, and I am with the Force, or whatever he keeps saying over and over again. That's great. I like that. Except it makes no sense. And then he's got his buddy with the giant machine gun backpack thing that
Yeah.
whatever. This movie doesn't have any point. There's no point to this movie.
No, we
Everyone
know what
dies at the end, and which is fine, except you already knew that what would have been a twist if not everybody died at the end. That would have made it more interesting.
Yeah, and that's another problem with it is like why have the movie if it's not going to have any bearing on the future movies? Mm-hmm. Like it would have made sense to have Rogue One introduce characters that would then exist in the new trilogy.
Yeah.
That would have made some sense,
Imagine that.
but it didn't.
Nope. It had no.
So instead, the movie
nothing.
had no actual point.
There was it was
had no function in
and
this
I've
universe.
heard people refer to this like, oh, well, I think of this movie as a documentary of the Empire War with the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah,
really?
but that's dumb. Because
Really?
It wasn't presented that way.
When I go to a movie, like a movie in the theater, there are a few things I expect. I expect a compelling story. First and foremost, a compelling story that I care about. Second, I expect characters that I care about.
Yeah, I didn't have
People that I
those.
care about. People that I don't want to die. That would be a big help. Or I would even accept characters that I do want to die. I would accept that.
Yeah, have cartoonishly evil characters.
Exactly.
That'd be okay.
That would be fabulous. Like characters that somehow keep surviving, and you're like, oh, I just want them to die. I just want them to die. But you don't get any of that. You don't get any of that in these movies. Nothing.
That seems to give me a good idea for a new movie where you just have the whole movie be about just extremely evil characters.
Yes,
and it really follows them closely.
Yep.
And it's the good guys who are like shallow and not interesting at all.
Yes, there you go.
But the main character is so evil that you just want to see him
You
die.
just want to see him. You're like, oh
You're
my
just
gosh.
so excited for when he gets what he deserves.
Yes, you want to see it. He deserves
That'd
it
be great.
so much. Like imagine if Joffrey had his own movie, and then you finally see the wedding, and he dies, and he chokes, and he's screaming, and he just can't breathe, and his lips are.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm
you're
sure
just
this
like,
kind of
oh,
movie
thank
exists.
God, he's dying finally.
That could have been really good if the movie was just about the Empire and some of the most evil people in the Empire.
Yes, maybe, because then as you killed off those characters throughout the movie, that would have given you enough drive to want to see it. Instead, you got nothing. You got these lukewarm, these tepid characters that had no point at all.
Yeah. Instead, it was just quite a bit of fun eye candy. Technically a competent story,
It was well shot.
but you just had characters you didn't care about. So,
Yeah, and they all died.
and they all died. And it changed nothing
changed
as far as the
nothing.
Star Wars story.
And they died again. Did we talk about the cliche way in which people die?
Like they accomplish their one task and then they die immediately.
Yeah.
Because that was a big thing in that movie.
Did they? I'm trying to remember. The dude guy and the cheeky chick. They were up on top of the
Yeah,
thing.
they got to the top. They beamed the plans up to their
I guess. Yeah.
fleet in the sky, and
Did they go out on a ledge or did they go out on the beach or something?
they went out on the beach and they like hugged each other
Yeah.
as they were watching the explosion come towards them.
Is that supposed to be poetic?
I don't know what it was supposed to be. It was really weird because they didn't seem to have any kind of romantic
Yeah, they had no connection.
thing going on. It was implied that maybe it could have grown into that. I mean,
Okay, so
implied as much as anything.
Yeah, that makes no difference. That makes no sense.
It,
Who
it
cares?
doesn't. It doesn't add anything. I mean, I'm really glad they didn't like start making out because that would have been
No.
horribly
Well,
awkward and weird.
Admittedly, if I was in that
Well, see,
situation,
there-
I probably would have.
That's the other side of it. But from a movie point of view, it's like it wouldn't have made any sense because they had no real connection with
Yeah,
each other
yeah.
other than a mutual sort of respect thing going
Yeah,
on.
I'm reminded, for whatever reason, I'm reminded of that scene in the first season of Westworld where there's like the black chick and the one dude guy, the like robber guy, and they're trying to bust open a safe or whatever, and the place is burning down. They're like, well, we've got to make it through this, so we may as well do it. And so they like they just strip down. They start having sex right in the middle of the fire and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's about as good a time as any. I mean,
Right?
You know.
But yeah, I mean, for a family-friendly movie, I guess. Yeah.
That's probably problematic.
And so, like, narratively, it wouldn't have made sense for them to make out at that moment because
Yeah.
they had no real connection.
Yeah, and they didn't.
And they didn't, which was good. That was a pro, as it turns out.
That reminds me of, I'm sorry, but you remember the movie Spies Like Us?
Yeah,
That's
that's right. That happens in that movie.
They like
that's good.
the bomb goes. They send the nuclear
It's like
weapon
the
up,
nuke's
and they're
coming.
like, "What did you do?" And so then like, "Oh, I guess it's nuclear Armageddon." And they just like they pair off, and they're, "I guess we're gonna go. We're just gonna. It's nuclear Armageddon. We gotta have a little fun before this thing all goes up in smoke." Oh, quality stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's good stuff. See now, and none of the good stuff. We didn't. None of them are related to Star Wars. It's all these other movies.
Yeah, you can pick out other things from other movies that were actually good.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's. So I would say that is problematic for the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. So Rogue One, I thought it was a competent movie, but it was just utterly boring. It was horribly boring.
Yeah. When you immediately determined that I guess Rogue One really is just about what it said in the trailer. There's nothing else to it. It's it. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, when the by far the best thing of the movie is a bit character who is only exciting because of other movies that he was in, you got a problem with your movie.
Which character is that?
Darth Vader.
Oh, I see. And
Because the final scene with Darth Vader was
It was-
so good.
that's true.
It was so satisfyingly good.
It was like fan fiction.
It shouldn't have been that good.
It's
but
like some of the little short like fan made films that I've seen
It's-
on YouTube.
it's just all you've ever wanted to see of Darth Vader was him doing that kind of shit.
Yeah. Like
So
aggressive use of the Force, aggressive use of a lightsaber. It's all of the things that you know are possible, and all of a sudden it's there in front of you, and you're
Just
seeing it. And they didn't
absolute
overplay it.
brutality.
It didn't go on for too long. It went on for just long enough
Yep.
that you wanted to see more, but they didn't give you more because they knew that would be a mistake. That was well done.
Yeah, that was quality stuff. And that's, I mean, I recognize that really that's just the fanboy in me.
It is.
But that's, if you're gonna do like a fan service type movie, which I feel like Rogue One kind of was, you gotta go all in.
Yeah. And that was pretty well all in on that scene.
For that scene. You needed more scenes like that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you don't want to overstay your welcome. I wouldn't have wanted the whole movie to be about Darth Vader just going balls deep on people with the Force.
rogue.
Yeah, whatever.
I just love that
I wouldn't have
Darth
wanted
Vader
that
lives
the
in a
whole
volcano.
movie. But yeah, you could have done other things like that in the movie, and it would have been all right.
Yeah. It does seem like there were several missed opportunities. I'm trying to think, were there other
Because
characters?
instead it was just so boring.
It was a bunch of characters. I mean, brought back Grand Moff Tarkin.
I mean, they probably should have. They should have had fucking Boba Fett in there, probably.
They should have.
And have like some really satisfying fan servicey moments with
They
him.
could have. That
Because
would
why
have
not?
made the movie better.
Because why not?
Yeah. Yeah. If that's the movie you're making, you may as well go all in.
I mean, either that or have a movie without Darth Vader in it at all and have actually good, compelling characters.
Yeah.
But you clearly didn't want to do that.
No.
So go the other way.
Yeah. So again, the movie, the characters, I was so disappointed in the
Planks.
characters.
Planks of wood.
Every
The lot of 'em.
single
Except Donnie Yen.
one. Donnie Yen was great, and he didn't get nearly enough screen time. That should have been his movie.
Like, I almost kind of wanted to like the one pilot guy who got mind raped by the tentacle thing.
That was dark. That was dark. I mean, they really did fuck him up, man.
Yeah.
That was dark. I mean,
but
I remember
he just
thinking
didn't-
that in the theater, like, that's pretty fucked up, man.
Yeah,
That's,
but
that's dark.
he still just didn't have much going on.
No.
He was a little bit quirky. That's all he
A
had.
little bit quirky.
That's all he had.
Yeah.
And I think that was supposedly because he got mind raped by the tentacle monster.
So,
And just the fact that was a thing in the movie,
yeah.
it was so stupid, and at the same time, it's one of the most memorable
Yeah,
things because the
that's
movie
fair.
was just so bland.
It was so bland. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. I had forgotten a little bit about that. And then so you've got Chicky Chick Girl who grew up, and then the first time you see her, she's a little kid, and she's, oh, here's mommy and daddy, and I guess I'm gonna go hide in a hole in the ground. And
Yeah, instead of having that moment where you kind of endear us to the relationship she has with her father, because that was supposed to be a thing in the movie,
yeah,
instead you just have, oh, here comes the Empire, go hide.
yep.
You gotta have that fucking scene where you show them being a father and daughter together and that they have a connection, but you didn't give us that scene. You didn't give it to us.
He was like this brilliant designer or engineer or something like that. How about if you opened up with him like helping her design something fun or build
Right.
something, and
Building
then that
a
could have
fancy, cool future toy.
and that could have been her character, where she was this tinkerer, and that's why she was in jail, is because she had built this thing or whatever it was.
It could have even been the opposite. It could have been that she's too fucking bullheaded to have the mind of a
That's
tinkerer.
right, that's
and it's
right.
like, oh, you're never gonna be. He's like there giving his words of wisdom. Well, it's okay if you're not a tinkerer. You've got your thing going on,
Yep,
and
yep.
you should pursue that.
Yep.
But instead, we got absolutely nothing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So Empire, let's fly in. Let's land a good half mile away, and let's fan out and do a nice line so it looks good on the camera. And we're
Gotta
gonna
let
walk
him
up
watch you
and,
walk there for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That way, we've got him by surprise.
Yeah, and then
Definitely don't have time to send your daughter off to hide.
Yeah, and then you get saved by Forrest Whitaker, who you don't get to see again until he dies.
Mm-hmm.
So why was Forrest Whitaker even in the movie? Was there
To die.
deleted
That's what he
scene?
does in movies, didn't you know?
And what was with his voice, man?
Save the Republic.
Yeah, it's like
Save the dream.
I mean, did you have throat cancer or lung cancer? Were you? I mean, was that hookah you were snorting
That's
on or
what
something?
he
the whole
does
time?
now. That's.
I don't know.
I used to like Forrest Whitaker and things.
I thought that's right. I don't know. He just that was very, very questionable direction. And so they go to find him, and I don't remember oh geez. So they find him, and he's on this planet, and they're mining whatever gems for the Death Star. And he's been fighting against the Empire the whole time. And I guess now is a good time that I'm just going to call it quits.
It's like, yeah, you guys go on ahead. I'll stay here
that's
and
right.
face down this explosion.
That's right. I'm going to take it. Like now, if you would have pulled a Drax or something
I
like
could
that,
take it.
pulled the swords out. Rah! Take this, rocks. Yep. Like that would have been pretty epic, but
Oh, I mean, he had fucking mechanical legs. Just show a rock fall on one of his legs, and then he can say, like, yeah, I'll just slow you down. You guys get out of here.
they give him anything.
Anything. Any reason at all for him to stay behind and die.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
nah, I've done enough. I'll just die now.
yeah, that was a problem, I would say. Yeah, so there was, and that the whole movie was that.
Yeah.
So you see the dad at the start, and then you see the dad like on the platform because what's his face, the numbnuts from the Empire is coming, and he wants some sort of something from him, and then there's like an assassination attempt thing going on, and they're trying to kill him or whatever.
Oh,
and
that's
then-
right.
And it's in the rain, and they're ways away, and somehow they didn't get detected, even though this is some sort of big
Yeah.
Imperial base. And
Right?
then somehow she gets all the way onto like the landing pad or
Yeah,
whatever
she's
to
up
have
there.
a moment with her father, I
As he
guess,
dies.
for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. But again, because there was never any establishment of their actual relationship, you didn't have that scene where we
No.
saw what they meant to each other.
It wasn't heartbreaking at
Yeah,
all.
I didn't care. All I could think is, well, he seemed like a shit father.
Right?
So why does she even care that he's dying?
Yeah, he hasn't been there for her.
No.
He didn't seem like he was there for her when her mom got gunned down by the Empire, and he went off to work for him anyway.
Yeah. He didn't seem like he was resisting. I mean, he built the flaw into the Death Star. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, that is one weak-ass way of resisting.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the work so much. I just couldn't help myself. Yeah, thanks.
That's right. Yeah, tell the people of Alderaan how you built this flaw into the system. Tell those billions of people how you are resisting
right.
the Empire. Good job.
feel a great disturbance in the force.
Good.
Oh, that was the millions
job.
upon possibly billions of people that they killed when
Yeah.
they destroyed the planet of Alderaan.
Yeah. Yeah, nice flaw. See, a proper flaw would have prevented the system from firing in the first place.
Yeah, maybe it would have created some sort of feedback loop. So the first time they tried firing the damn thing, the whole thing would have blown up.
Yeah, you'd think something that powerful. I mean, if you're the primary designer, you probably could have made it so that it just makes your whole space station self-destruct. But,
There you go.
but
I
nah,
like it.
we'll build it so that you gotta fly down this narrow little channel and then fire your photon
great.
torpedoes
Yeah,
into this
so
little hole.
That's right. That's right. So they get the plans. Oh, that's awesome. He programmed a flaw into this thing. What kind of flaws? Well, first you gotta get really really close with really really tiny ships. What? That's a fucking terrible idea. Then you have to fly through this trench in the whole apparatus. We've got this
Yeah.
trench and there's guns.
And don't
lining
forget
the whole
that my
thing.
design has guns lining this trench.
Yeah, that was my idea. I didn't want it to be too easy.
Didn't want it to be too obvious,
We had
so
to
I
have this-
decided to line that trench
That's
with
right.
guns.
That's right. So not only do you have to be in a tiny little ship that has no shields and no armor, now you have to fly through the trench and you've got to go through all these guns that I made sure were there because that was a really great idea. Or maybe a government contractor over my shoulder. You know what would be a great idea? We should put guns all along this trench.
So not to go completely off topic
I'm
or,
sorry.
or
No, no,
off
you're
to a
good.
different thing, but that just made me. I mean, I've thought of this before, but so the original Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah.
You got this trench you got to fly down.
Yeah.
Why not just enter that trench right where you can fire your guns into
Because
the
then your
hole?
targeting computer wouldn't be able to lock on because that was so obviously something that Luke Skywalker needed to be able to actually pull that off.
So why not enter the trench exactly at the point where your targeting computer will have enough time to lock on?
Well, didn't they get the plans to the Death Star? You would think that they have these plans. Now, maybe they didn't have enough time to plug it into the computer so it could render what they needed as far as the trajectories
Yeah,
for
sure.
these things or
Okay.
whatever. But you would think that you're right. They should have basically been able to send a probe that was
straight
so small.
to the trench and enter the trench at the exact point where you would have exactly enough time to fire into the hole.
Yeah.
You don't need to fly down that trench for 10 minutes
Yeah.
to get to the right point. You just enter the trench at the point you know you enter it at.
I mean, if we want to talk about gripes about the original Star Wars, I would go so far as to say that the whole Flight of the Navigator thing at the end of the movie was that whole sequence where they're flying the X-wings through the trench and they do that 3 or 4 times or whatever it is before Luke actually gets it. I mean, that goes on for too long and that's a
Yeah.
legitimate gripe with the original.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a legitimate gripe. I'm sure other people would disagree, but
Yeah. No, I thought it went on for the exact right amount of time.
yeah. Admittedly, I have not sat and watched the original Star Wars movie in
haven't
so long.
either. I should try to revisit it
I
sometime.
I do remember the last time I did that I did feel like the pacing was a little wonky.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yep.
You don't really care about that stuff with the swashbucklingness of it when
Yeah.
you're a little kid, though. You just like it.
And that's the thing too. I mean, our perceptions of media have changed so much over time.
Yeah.
They're able to do things in such a different way now than they used to be able to. That obviously our sensibilities about these things are going to change with time.
That's true. I mean, and we could do a whole episode about how there's nothing new under the sun
Yeah.
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's just
So,
the
I
way
mean,
it is.
So nothing is perfect. Nothing
No.
is perfect. Nothing ever was. It might be perfect to the right person because
Yeah.
everyone has different ideas about what they want out of media.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's any perfect movie out there. But there are certainly better ones than other ones that we may or may not have talked about already.
Yeah, and that's to speak nothing of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole separate topic. We probably don't need to get into it. Right now.
No, but I would say that if you haven't, there is like a 1 or a 2 minute clip out there of Alex Jones, of all people, talking about the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, and it is epic. And if you can take what Alex Jones of all people, that nutcase, if you can take what he's got laid out in this explanation of what the prequel trilogy is, and you just listen to it, and you're like, how did George Lucas not make fabulous movies out of this idea? There's something wrong with you. So Just saying. It's out there. Check it out. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Kind of amazing.
It is kind of amazing.
That guy's just so insane.
He is such a crazy person.
And that's okay.
That is okay. I'm okay with that.
But no, I think that's enough Star Wars ranting for today. I'm sure we could do 10 more of these.
Oh, jeez.
They might get a little repetitive, but no, it's such a broad topic, and we both know so much about it.
Yeah, and you know a lot more about it than I do because you've been into the extended universe a lot more than me.
Yeah.
Now I've been into the video game side of it. Like I played the Dark Forces and the Jedi Knight games, Jedi Academy games, Force Awakens, not Force Awakens. Good grief, Force Unleashed, quality stuff. Lots of Star Wars games out there, really good ones. And that was all fun, all good stuff. And of course, now none of it has any meaning because Disney decided that it didn't have it.
Didn't exist. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
They didn't even have to do a forced time travel story to erase it. They just said, no, it's gone.
It's done. No, we're not doing that. We've got the easiest job ever because there's hundreds upon hundreds of these books that are written.
Mm-hmm.
At least 5% of them are phenomenally good.
Just take the best ideas from those 5%, make a new trilogy, and it'll be fucking amazeballs.
Yeah.
And instead, they were like, let's just shit something out.
Yeah, that's right. The Force is feminine. That's going to be great for all of these
That's what everyone
fans.
wants. That's
what we want. We all want politics in our Star Wars.
That's what all the male 25 to 35-year-olds are looking for.
Yeah, because I'm sure that all of the Star Wars fan base is a bunch of 16 to 18-year-old girls who grew up with it and loved it for forever and ever and ever. Good luck with that, Disney.
Yeah.
So far, it seems like it's working.
I mean, it's worked on us. So.
And with that, I'm out of beer. And I see that you've been out of beer for a while.
Yeah, how about that?
So I think we have to call it quits for the night. So that concludes another episode of
Ranting
the
on Star
Hammered
Wars.
Brothers.
I mean, the Hammered Brothers.
There you
yes.
go. Close enough. Close enough. All right, and with that, have a good evening or a good morning or a good afternoon, however it suits you, and we'll see you next time.